Hello, 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 my friends. This is Dr. David Snyder, and I want to welcome you to Secrets of Human Influence for Success, for attracting success, wealth, health, and happiness. For the next 2.5 to 3 hours, I am going to be your guide, your mentor through the fascinating and empowering world of human influence and persuasion. For many years, I've been teaching people that in a society ruled by the rule of law, in other words, we can make a distinction in societies. We talk about the law of the jungle. We talk about the rule of law. In civilized societies, the ability to get people to like and trust and connect with you, to be willing to and to eagerly and naturally want to do what you want them to do, in my opinion, is the ultimate survival skill. Now, let's be very clear that it is a skill set. It is a set of skills, but it's not a trait, right? Now, there are a lot of people who are very gifted with the ability to be persuasive and influential. There are a lot of people who have a natural quotient of extra charisma. In the Chinese face reading that I teach, we often call that peach luck, right? But let's be very clear that the skills of human influence are exactly that. They're a skill, and they're things that can be learned, and they can be honed, and they can be refined, and they can be developed. And what I have found over and over and over again is that the ability to tap into what a human being truly wants and needs and link that to what you want them to do is the fastest, most powerful, most ethical and honest way to get everything you want in this world, to literally write your ticket in this life. One of the things that always comes up when people talk about persuasion and influence is this idea of ethics and manipulation versus persuasion. Remember that when you apply that system, and I've spent the last 30 years, 40 years of my life refining, researching, and honing, when you apply this system, it is never necessary to lie, cheat, or steal with anyone to be able to get the things you want and get them to want to do what you want them to do. It is the ultimate win-win system. It was designed for that. And so I want you to just put those reservations aside, because once you understand the principles we're going to be sharing with you over the next 2 to 3 hours, and I have a few more disclaimers that I want to talk about, but I really want to get this kind of ethics bugaboo out of the way. We're in a very challenging, very trying economic times. The temptation to resort to things that are sneaky and underhanded is probably going to get worse before it gets better. I can tell you from the bottom of my heart, and my students, who are many of whom are on this video or on this call, will say it is never necessary to lie, cheat, or steal. So if you're one of those people who wants to better themselves and move up in life by whatever standards and definitions that is for you, you're going to want to pay attention to the content of tonight's webinar. But even more importantly than paying attention, you're going to want to actually do the drills that I'm sharing with you, because the more you do the drills, the more experience you're going to gain. In other words, I can sit here and I can spit technique after technique after technique at you over and over and over again. And at the end of the day, you'll at the end of the webinar, you go, oh man, that was really cool, right? But what can you actually do, right? Let's not confuse the act of learning something new with the ability gained from actually training and having an experience. My job over the course of the next 2.5 to 3 hours is to give you a set of experiences that lead you to the realization of, as we call it in Planet David, seeing the matrix, if that makes any kind of sense. So that's a little bit of my ethics talk. So let's get down to brass tacks. First of all, are you in fact the right place? If you can answer yes to any of the following questions, type yes, that's me in the chat. A, how many of you would like to be more charismatic and super attractive to members of the opposite sex or even the same sex? If you think that's something that'd be useful and pleasurable to have, maybe make them find you charming, fascinated, and irresistible, go ahead and type that in the chat. If you'd like to be able to banish fear and insecurity from your life and move through the world radiating a sense of confidence and dominance and assertiveness that is, and a sense of empoweredness that is truly alpha by your standards and definitions, go ahead and type that. That's for me in the chat, okay? If you would like to be able to protect yourself from the manipulators and the predators of the world, and there are many, if you'd like to be able to flag them before they have a chance to get their claws into your life and make your life a living hell. And if you've ever had one of these people in your life, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, type the S in the chat, because that's part of what you're going to be getting tonight in spades. Okay, if you'd like to have people thinking and feeling and acting the way you want, because they want to do it, without feeling like you're being sleazy or unethical or manipulative, go ahead and type that in the chat. Okay. If you'd like to be able to nail job interview after job interview after job interview, to move up in your company, or to hire the right people, to create teams that are so motivated, so focused, and so on the fast track to taking your business to the next level, go ahead and type that in the chat. If you are a coach, a therapist, somebody who guides people, and you would like to be more effective and gain a higher degree of compliance from your clients, your patients, type that in the chat. Right? If you'd like to be the most powerful inspirational leader or parent imaginable, if you could just literally reach into the hearts and minds of the people you want to motivate, find exactly what fires them up and link it to what you need them to do, type that in the chat. If you'd like to surround yourself with people that you truly feel connected to, that you can trust at a deep level, who have the same goals and ideas and philosophies that are in harmony with you, type it in the chat. Because if you answered yes to 2 or more of these questions, you're in the right place, right? If the idea of being able to move through the world without feeling powerful, without feeling confident, if that's something you're not ready to grab a hold of, this is probably not the place for you. Okay, and here's what I mean by that. If you want to be influential, if you want to change the world, starting with your own, you must have the will to influence. Now, you've heard many people in different systems, like NLP systems or covert hypnosis systems, or Ericksonian hypnosis, that it's impossible not to influence people. That's true enough to be true. But the kind of energy that you bring to the influence you're wielding will define the degree you're willing to let yourself go to. So that being said, let me go ahead and get this party started, so to speak. So how many of you, by a show of hands in the chat, if you're a first timer here, type your name in the chat, where you're checking in from, and first time in the chat. Okay. If you're a veteran of Planet David and you're checking back with us, type your name, where you're checking in from, and how long you've been a member of Planet David. Okay. Go ahead and do that now. While you're doing that, a couple of things. A, you're going to have questions about this class. I guarantee it. Always does. So we don't do a traditional webinar in Planet David. We've found that when I've spent a lot of time studying marketing and things of that nature. Okay. And there's a lot of things in the marketing world that work really, really well that I have a visceral response to doing. There are certain things even though I know they work, I will not do them because they don't match my values. Now, I want you to write that word down, because as we go through the content of tonight's webinar, you're going to hear me talk about values a lot. Values are the core reason why people do the things they do. Those values, that word values, distills down directly to body feelings. 2 types of body feelings specifically. Feelings people want more of, and feelings people want a whole lot less of. Your job is to move through the world, making everyone you meet feel ridiculously good, and showing them how to get everything that they want by doing what you want. Now, is anybody here that has a problem with that idea? If you're okay with the idea of moving through the world, getting everything you want by showing other people how to get what they want, if you're okay with that, type that's good. I'm good with that in the chat, so I can see. If you're not okay with that, this is not the place for you. Okay, if you've got baggage around whether people need to be influenced, or that all forms of influence are somehow unethical or wrong, this is not the place for you. You've got some other work to do before you're ready for this material. Okay. The idea of being president is repugnant, but telling the president what to do is the goal. Okay, very good. All right, so let's get back to some of the administrative stuff. First of all, if politically incorrect language, colorful metaphors, swearing, or the word boobies offends you, this is not the best place for you for the next 2.5 to 3 hours. My intention is never to offend anyone, but I do have a tendency to be very provocative in the things I say and do. So just putting that out there, okay? I like to call myself an equal opportunity hater or an equal opportunity bagger, depending on how you look at it. That being said, you're going to have questions. There are 3 ways to get your questions answered on tonight's webinar. First and foremost, type it in chat. If I see it and it's relevant to the point in the webinar that we're at, I'll answer it. Most of the time, I don't see the questions because I'm focused on other things. So a couple of ways you can fix that. My veterans, if you see the question and I don't answer it, and you have experience that answers that question using our technologies, feel free to reach out through the chats or through private messaging and answer that question for them. That's your job as veterans of Planet David. You're the ones that have taken this material out into the real world and have walked the walk, right? You expect me to tout my stuff and say it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. But I want you, the people who are consuming the technologies, who are going out and making the changes, I want you to share your experience with the new people so they understand that this is not something that you need to wear a cool vest just to be able to pull off, all right? That's the second way to get your question answered. The third way to get your question answered is very simple. At the end of this webinar, it will go live on YouTube and it will probably go live on our homepage, our webpage. Below the comment section of this video, if you go back when the replay starts and you type in your question, I make it a practice to go over my YouTube channel 4 or 5 times a day, every day, and answer any questions, any legitimate questions that people have. If I know the answer, I'll type it for you. If I don't have the answer, I'll tell you that too. If I don't have the answer, but I know who might, I'll point you in the direction of people who I think can answer that question for you. Is that fair? If you think that's fair, type it in the chat. Okay, very good. Now, next thing, if this is the scope of everything there is to learn in the realm of persuasion and influence, we've got time for this. So my commitment to you in the time that we have is as we go through each of the 3 phases of tonight's webinar, I will lay the foundations. I will show you how to upgrade your skills. I will circle back and build on those foundations in part 3. I will take you as far into this material as I can in the time that we have, and I will point you in the direction. I will tell you the exact steps to take to level up and take your skills to the next level. Is that fair? Yes or yes, as T. Harv Eker would say. You think that's fair? Type it in the chat. All right, cool. All right, that being said, this is a webinar that requires you to be interactive. It requires you to roll up your sleeves, do some drills, and get some skills, okay? So I'm gonna go through what I lovingly call the Dr. David Dog and Pony Show, just because there are people who have never heard of David Snyder and may not know anything about my background or why the hell I should be up here in a weird vest teaching you all these cool things that I wanna be teaching you, okay? So first and foremost, who is Dr. David Snyder and why should I care? Right? First and foremost, I am an actual doctor. And hold on a second. Let me just go back to sharing the screen again. I beg your indulgence because I am using 2 different interfaces at once, and I'm trying very hard to stay on track. I am an actual doctor of Chinese medicine and acupuncture. I got my diploma from the Pacific College of Oriental Medicine. I've had a practice in Solana Beach, California, for the last going on 16 or 17 years now, where my specialty is treating physiological illness that is caused by repressed emotion. Now, a lot of people who are trained in hypnosis and neurolinguistic programming and things of that nature, they spend a lot of time treating things like weight loss and smoke cessation, nail biting, things of that nature. I have worked almost exclusively on medical referrals since I opened for business. So we've dealt with everything from, IBS to pretty much any form of trauma you can imagine, Parkinson's, cancer, many different types of cancer, as a matter of fact, multiple sclerosis, many forms of chronic illness, lupus, all of which are rooted, really, believe it or not, in deeply repressed emotions. It's a form, the chronic illness, believe it or not, is actually a form of manifestation, which is kind of interesting because most of us don't think about it that way, but it actually is a form of manifestation. So for those of you who have an interest in the law of attraction, there's a direct relevance between what we do clinically and what we do on a more metaphysical or vibrational level. That being said, I've also authored over 15 different products on various forms of human influence, everything from how to persuade and influence, how to be more attractive to the opposite sex, how to be your romantic partner's greatest lover ever, how to resolve all forms of trauma, how to do remote influence. We have probably, well, we actually have to cut down the amount of products we have available because my marketer is complaining we don't have time to promote everything. But we've also over 15 different products on various forms of human influence, the cream of the crop of which you're going to be getting tonight. Some of the most powerful techniques, some of the most easy to use tactics that you don't have to believe in order for them to work. What you're seeing here on the screen is a letter from, this is a screen capture from globalgurus.org. In 2020, I was named the #1 NLP trainer of the year by Global Gurus. And I have been in the top 2 slots of the Global Gurus rankings since 2015. So, it's me and Richard Bandler. And every now and then it switches places, but it's me and the big B. So a lot of people think we know what we're doing, and I'm really grateful for your votes and your support in that. What I'm even just as importantly, what you see here is a letter from Global Gurus, and it says, "Dear Dr. David, it is with great pleasure to announce that your training program, Killer Influence, has been chosen by global peers and ranked as the #1 best program in the world for neurolinguistic programming of 2022. We had that. We were recognized in 2020 as the #1 NLP course in the year, and we've been the #1 NLP training program for the last 3 years. Okay, I'm very, very excited, very, very proud of that. But I didn't even know this was a thing until they sent me the letter. Okay, and what you see here is a copy of our Global Gurus page where this is all the people that we beat out. Okay, I'm also a grandmaster in the martial arts. I have a 10th degree black belt in Okinawan karate, 4th degree black belt in Shaolin Kung Tao, a 2nd degree black belt in Kosho Kempo Ryu, 1st degree black belt in Fankuru Jiu Jitsu, a certified instructor in combat system, a Cinco Mano Eskrima, and of course, modern Ernest. I managed to get a basic training certificate from the founder of the system, the Grandmaster Remy Prisas. I like to make a joke that I have more energy healing credentials than McDonald's sells hamburgers. I've been a Reiki master since before Reiki was cool. I've been studying Kabbalah almost as long as I've been studying Reiki, before Madonna even heard of Kabbalah. So I'm very much a prima donna, right? I'm trained in advanced pranic healing and pranic psychotherapy, advanced DNA and theta healing and manifestation. I'm certified in the Bengston energy healing systems, and I have many different Qigong systems under my belt. In fact, I'm currently working on a second doctorate in medical Qigong with Dr. Jerry Allen Johnson through the Bianhua Gong Taoist Sanctuary. So I have a lot of energy skills behind me. I've got a lot of martial arts. I have a lot of NLP and hypnotherapy, holographic memory resolution. I got a lot of things going on. But the question is, a lot of people say, well, okay, so what? What do all these things have in common? Well, there's 2 things really. One is the ability to control your state. But even more importantly is this concept of pattern recognition. Pattern recognition, everything human beings do. Let me jump out of this for a moment. Everything human beings do follows a pattern, right? There's patterns to their thinking. There's patterns to their movement. There's patterns to the structure of their thoughts and the way that they speak. If you have eyes to see and ears to hear, those patterns will rise up to your awareness. And as you become aware of those patterns, you now have the ability to read and understand human behavior, human thought. You have the ability to predict what people are going to do in a given situation. And perhaps even more importantly, you now have the ability to inject change at key strategic points in those processes and cause their behaviors, their thoughts, and the results they produce to change accordingly. So when people ask me, what does pattern recognition have to do with human influence? Pretty much everything. Pretty much everything. Okay. That being said, here's what my promise is to you. If you stay until the end of tonight's webinar and all the way to the end, I'm going to teach you the fastest, most powerful, and ethical way to influence anyone you meet to like, love, trust, and obey you. I'm going to teach you how to have people hanging on your every word. If any of this sounds like a superpower you'd like to have, please click that's for me in the chat, right? If you'd like to have people salivating, literally salivating, to do what you want them to do, type that in the chat. If you'd like to learn how to control emotions and remove resistance to your influence, that's what we're going to be playing with tonight. If you want the exact steps to go from interesting information to maximum transformation in minimum time, this is the place to be. That being said, how are we going to do that? Now, some people are asking if I can make this a little bigger. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can do that. The problem is I don't have a lot of space. Is that better, guys? Can you see better now? Okay. Is that better, Kathy? Better? Okay. Yeah, I have to be very careful because if I have too many screens overlapping, it screws up my screen share. All right. So here's what you're going to be. Here's some of the techniques you want to take home tonight. Okay. We're going to teach you the secret backdoor to the human nervous system. Okay. In other words, if there were one technique that was like the bump key to the human nervous system that could literally force a person to pay single-minded attention to you and everything coming out of your mouth, while at the same time feeling simultaneously heard, understood, validated, connected, and approved of, would that be useful? That's the first thing I'm going to teach you tonight. Second thing I'm going to teach you is the secret of emotional bonding and attraction. Remember at the beginning of tonight's webinar, I taught you that everything human beings do is in response to a feeling. It's either a feeling they want more of or a feeling they want a whole lot less of. Now, for the purposes of tonight's webinar, I want you to start using the word value and feeling interchangeably. It's a little bit more, it's not exactly that cut and dried, but functionally speaking, for the purposes of the content of tonight's webinar, when you hear the word feeling or the word value, I want them to be equal to one another, if that makes any kind of sense. Okay. we're going to talk about, we're not going to spend a lot of time on it, but we're going to talk about the 4 pillars of irresistible hypnotic influence. These are 4 macro areas of human influence that if you can master them, people will not only want to obey you, they will feel compelled to obey you, even if it's something they don't want to do, right? This is where the will to influence and having a strong moral compass becomes much more important. Because if you understand these 4 pillars, you can get people to do shit they don't want to do, right? Even if it's not in their best interest, which I never recommend. But I do recognize that every now and then, like in law enforcement or military applications or things of that nature, there will be situations, circumstances, and events where a win-win just isn't possible, right? But for the vast majority of us tonight on the webinar, civilized human beings in a arguably civilized world, that's almost never the situation. We can always create a win-win for people, okay? I want to teach you how to remove resistance to your influence. There's a simple 4 or 5 step formula that if you can master it and memorize it, people will actually generate their own reasons for doing exactly what you want them to do, okay? Finally, I'm going to teach you step by step how to level up, how to take control and get the full system of human influence that has made Planet David and the students of Planet David some of the most powerful influence professionals in the world. Not just me, but my students as well. We just came back from the Best You Expo. I took 5 of my core people there, and they owned the entire expo. They had people lining up to work with them. They were the most powerful, influential, charismatic workers at the expo. And we're talking about hundreds of high-level, high-profile speakers. My students, I had such a proud papa moment. They owned the expo, and they were demonstrating skill and competency that was just off the charts. People realized right off the bat that what we brought to that expo was head and shoulders above what most people thought was even possible, right? And it's not that we're special. We're just trained. And you can have the same result. You can be that kind of person if you follow the instructions that we're going to share with you tonight, and you just do the drills and get the skills. My job isn't to tell you how wonderful it is. My job is to give you the experience of how powerful it is so you can make the right decision and move yourself up. Does that make sense? Type it in the chat. I'm going to open my chat again. Cool. Yeah, Quincy, if I go full screen, it's going to cover the other 5 windows I have open. And that's the problem, is if I have all 5 windows covered, I can't see what's going on in other parts of the webinar. So, all right, that being said, let me go back to sharing the screen. So what we're going to talk about really quick is the system, right? And what you're seeing here is called, in Planet David, the Universal Persuasion Protocol. You should probably take a screenshot of this or write it down. Okay, the Universal Persuasion Protocol has 6 plus 1 step, right? Can you see here, it says know your outcome. First and foremost, when you're going to become a master of persuasion and influence, one of the first rules you need to embrace is that you must become outcome driven. Okay, in other words, you must, in your own mind, have a clearly stated outcome with a measurable way to know if you're moving towards it or away from it. Does that make sense? If it makes sense, type "it makes sense" in the chat. If it doesn't, type your question and I will elaborate on this. Makes sense. Okay. You got to know what you want, because if you don't go into a persuasion situation knowing what you want, you're probably going to get something else. Okay. After that, it becomes very formulaic. It's actually pretty formulaic right from the start. You're going to control your state. Let me go back to this. So the first thing you're going to do is control your state. What does that mean? It means the ability to enter or exit any psycho-emotional state at will, on demand. Right? We have this is such an important aspect to training that at the live event, like when you come to Killer Influence or you come to the 6-day Australia mega persuasion super training that we're doing, we're going to spend an entire day on nothing but controlling your state and then transmitting those states to other people non-verbally. Right? We have a full fleshed out training. It is pure freaking Jedi shit. Right? We don't have time to do that on tonight's webinar. It's one of the things that we only teach to the people who come to the live events. But I want to give you that everything starts with state control, the ability to enter or exit any psycho-emotional state at will, on demand, and then getting rapport, the ability to transmit those feelings to another human being, to get a connection and a contact with people in seconds that you can start to leverage. From there, you're going to use whatever language skills that you have to manage the state of the subject. So if you look at the little diagram that we've got here, right, you're going to control your state, you're going to get rapport, you're going to use your language, you're going to use these 3 to manage the state of your subject. You're going to jump into whatever process they use at a cognitive level to decide to do what you want them to do. And you're going to link it to their values. You're going to link it to the checklists that they have that create body feelings in them that they want more of or that they want less of. Okay, so let's go. Let's have a little fun. Let's pretend we're in a live training, shall we? I want you all to stand up and repeat after me. Control your state. Get rapport. Use your language. Manage the state of the subject. Jump into their process. Bond to their criteria and values. Let's do it 2 more times so we memorize this now. Control your state. Get rapport. Use your language. Manage your state. Jump into their process. Link or bond to their criteria and values. 1 more time with feeling. Control your state. Get rapport. Use your language. Manage the state of the subject. Jump into their process. Bond to their criteria and values. This is called the Universal Persuasion Protocol. Let me repeat that. Universal Persuasion Protocol. What is it? It's a map. It's an algorithm. It's a recipe that you follow in any situation, circumstance, or event where you need to exert influence. This is the roadmap that you follow. If you're getting ready to go to a job interview, first thing you got to do is know your outcome. Once you know what it is, you want to win that interview. Then you got to control your state. You got to get rapport with the person who makes the decision. You've got to use whatever language skills you have to manage the state of the person in front of you. Then you're going to take that and you're going to jump into whatever process that they use to make the decision you want them to make. And you're going to bond it to the things that are most emotionally important to that person in the way they recognize they're getting it. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, let's say that you want to go out and meet hot people. Maybe you're a guy looking to meet hot chicks. Maybe you're a chick looking to meet hot hot guys. Maybe you're a chick looking to meet hot chicks. Maybe you're a guy looking to meet, it doesn't matter. Okay. What matters is the process. The process doesn't change. Control your state, get rapport, use whatever language skills that you have. Use those three to manage the state of the subject, to get them from the state they're in to the state you want them to be in. Jump into whatever process they use to make the decision that you want them to make. We'll talk about that. And then you bond to their emotional values in the way that they recognize they're getting what they want, right? Let's say that you have a client waiting in the office, somebody that you want to be, or a prospective client waiting in the office, right? And you want them to become a paid client. What are you going to do? First of all, you set your outcome. Then what do? You get in the state you need to be in. You get rapport with the subject. You manage their state, or you use your language, you manage their state, you jump into their process, you link to their criteria and values. The process, the set of stages that you go through doesn't change, except as you get better. As you get better and better and better at this formula, you can actually skip steps and pull it off. Okay, that's the beauty of the universal persuasion protocol. It doesn't matter if it's the treatment room, the courtroom, the therapy room, the bedroom, the bar room, the classroom, does not matter. Any place that human communication is at play, this formula will win the day for you. Understand? All you got to do is follow the formula. Now, each of these layers, I'm not going to spend more time on this because we have specific techniques that we're going to cover, right? But each of these layers, control your state, get rapport, use your language, manage their state, jump into their process, link to their criteria and values. Each and every one of these is like a little toolbox or a little drawer in a toolbox. You use whatever techniques you know to satisfy that goal. Your first goal is to control your state. What techniques do you have to get in the right state? Right? Some people know posture and breathing. Some people use mental techniques. Some people take a shot of whiskey, right? Whatever puts you in the optimal state, that's what you use. What rapport techniques do you know to connect with that person? That's what you use. Right? I'm going to give you stuff. I'm going to make it super freaking easy for you. But I want you to think of each of these levels like a drawer in a tool chest. And I need my state control tools. What do I got? I need my rapport tools. Okay, what do I got? I need my language school tools. Okay, what do I got in there? And you use what you have. Okay, the formula never changes. The tools you use to get there might, but the formula never does. Does that make sense? Yes or yes? Type in the chat, please. Cool. All right, Barry's with me. I know that. Are you guys in trance? I haven't even started trancing anybody out yet. Kathy says, Karen says, yes, okay. So Kathy, I see an You want to explain that to me, please? Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about two things. First of all, how many of you would like to be, while we're on the subject of state control, how many of you would like to be up to 31% better at everything? Type it in the chat. Okay. Yay! Yes, I got a lot of agreement on that one, don't I? About time, you guys. Jesus. All right. So first and foremost, this particular statistic and approach comes from, believe it or not, hostage negotiation. Okay, you can reference Chris Voss for this. It's where I saw him. He dropped this little nugget on a real estate interview he was doing. Right. So basically, what they discovered is that the secret is being playful. By the way, playful, curious, explorational. That little nugget right there. What hostage research, what behavioral analysis discovered at the FBI was that when the hostage negotiator went into an interaction in a playful, easygoing, explorational energy, an explorational mood, they discovered that he was up to 31% more aware, more perceptive, more adaptable, more persuasive, and actually 30% more, up to 31% more intelligent. Right. But that's, and as cool as that is, what they also discovered was that when the hostage negotiator was in that state, that playful, explorational, curious state, his counterpart or her counterpart, the hostage taker, was up to 31% more compliant. They were likely to say yes up to 31% more times than if the hostage negotiator was not in that state. What would you, I just want you to stop for a moment and think for a moment. What would your life be like if you heard yes to what you wanted 31% more? Just think about it for a moment, type in the chat. What would it be like? Brad says, I'd probably be in prison. Yeah, but you'd probably be able to get out sooner too. Terrence says better. Okay, pretty darn cool. All right. So here's your first, that was your first freebie. Your first technique is just learn to adopt a fun, playful, explorational attitude. Okay. I have found that playfulness is the ultimate equalizer. Let's use a dating context, for example, classic male-female dating context. Doesn't have to be, but because I'm a traditional dude, kind of, sort of, as you can tell by the clothes I wear, right? Most people, when a stranger approaches or when they're getting ready to approach a stranger, their defenses are up. But when you approach somebody in a fun, playful, explorational, easygoing manner, it tends to lower their defenses. It softens any projection of an agenda, right? So I have found that one of the most powerful things you can do in terms of persuasion and influence is to wrap yourself in a fun, playful, curious, explorational attitude. Now, when you do that, their mirror neurons pick up on that and they start to generate a playful, curious state as well. Okay, I could spend hours going into the neuroscience behind this. When you come to Killer Influence or you come to the Australia training, I will be happy to geek out on that stuff for you. But right now, don't believe me, just play with it, right? Don't worry about the neuroscience, just understand. But then the question becomes, well, David, okay, that makes sense, but how do I do that? How do I tap into that fun, playful, curious state? You know, I'm glad you asked. Okay. Would you guys like to know how to do that? Yes or yes? All right. I'm going to give you one technique from the entire full 12 hours of training that we often do with state control. But this is one of the most powerful ones. I want everybody to, again, now what I'm about to share with you, okay, if you're driving, don't do this. If you're operating heavy machinery that require, or any kind of machinery that requires your full and undivided attention, don't do this, right? But if you want to have the experience and you are doing one of those things, then stop doing it, turn the machines off, find a place to park, put the car in park, turn on the emergency brake, make sure you're not going to get accosted by people watching you do weird things in your car, right? Or wait until you're home safe and watch the replay and do this. So I want everybody to stand up right now. And what I want you to do is I want you to close your eyes for me. And I want you to remember a time in your life when you were having the most fun ever. On a scale of 0 to 10, it's like a play factor, a fun factor of 27. I don't care what you were doing, who you were with, what state lines you crossed, what substances were involved. All I care about is that when you remember that playful experience, when you see what you see and you hear what you hear and you smell and you taste what you smell and you taste, there's an amazing, wonderful feeling that you get, a feeling of absolute freedom, playfulness, joy. I'd like you to notice something, that there's a place in your body where those amazing feelings start, where they grow and where they spread from. Take a moment and point to where you feel it. And as you point to where you feel it, I want you to imagine a beautiful ball of, I want you to notice there's a color connected to that feeling. Now, you don't got to type this in the chat, but notice what color or colors that might be for you. first impression. And when you've got that, imagine a brilliant ball of that energy floating above your head. Notice how the feelings in your body shift and changes with every breath you take and every beat of your heart. That ball of energy begins to grow. It begins to expand. It begins to fill the entire room from floor to ceiling, from wall to wall, and all points in between. Notice how it wraps itself around you like an amazing blanket of playfulness, of fun, of good feelings, a cocoon, a shield, a suit of armor, insulating you, protecting you from all downers, all bummers, real or imagined, while at the same time flooding your mind, flooding your body, flooding your spirit with everything it most wants, everything it most needs, in an infinite, ever-expanding and unlimited supply. And when you know you've got that, breathe those amazing colors through your entire being. Let it fill you up like water fills up a bottle, like fluid fills up a test tube, like hot air or helium fills up a balloon. Anchor it in so fully, so completely. No force in the universe can turn it off or take it away, not even you. And when you realize it's true, test it. Try to turn it off, try to take it away. Notice what happens instead. And when you're happy, when you're done, when you're satisfied, stop testing. Type in the chat what you experienced. Feel calm? Paige says she actually saw the colors behind her eyelids. Yep. Rashida says joy. Beautiful. Sheer joy. Excellent. Perfect. Now, for those of you who are into the law of attraction, if you do this before you start doing your affirmations, you may notice a significant increase in the speed with which you manifest. Okay? Happy, the entire rainbow. Very good. So you all feel good now, right? Would you like to feel better? Yes or yes? All right. So what we're going to do now, because like I said before, our webinar comes in 3 parts. Barry says, no, just this. He's never going to leave his house now, right? All right. So I'm going to teach you 2 things, but what I'm going to do is I am going to touch on the first one, and then I'm going to go deep into the experience of the second one. And then on part 3 of the webinar, I'm going to circle back and elaborate more on the first one. So David's like, now everybody's going, what the hell are you talking about, boy? Right? What if you had the ability? Now imagine moving through the world in this energy, right? What would your life be like if you just were like this everywhere you went? Would that make for a happier life? Yes or yes? What if you could move through the world inducing a state similar to this or even better in everyone you meet just by talking to them? What do you think would happen? That would be great. Okay. I want you to understand something. I'm teaching you pieces of a complete system, but each piece in the system, even in this truncated version, magnifies what comes before. So we've now created a state in ourselves of joy, of playfulness, of fun, right? That's going to cause people to start to resonate in that vibration when you get within a certain proximity to them. It will come out in your body language. It will come out in your tonality. It will come out in your word choices. It will come out in your blink rate, your eye contact. All those things happen because you initiated a feeling change in your body, and it ripples out. Now, what if we had that going for us, but now we could actually cause people to feel like we are the most important person they've ever met. In other words, but not in a way that like we're all authoritative and stuff, but because when they talked to us, they felt the most validated, approved of, understood, accepted. What if we could do that in seconds? Would that be useful? Okay. What if not only were all those things true, but they would think that we were the most fascinating conversationalist they've ever met, and they did 80% of the talking. Would that be helpful? How many people hate small talk like me? Okay. Here's how you do it. Now, you're not going to believe it, and that's okay, because it's too freaking simple. The most powerful words any human being can hear at any given moment are the words that just came out of their mouth. We call this the echo technique. So let's talk about this a little bit. Hold on a second. Pardon me while I make shit bigger. Share. Okay, so this to me is one of the most powerful things you can do with any human being. This is called, can you guys see this? Okay, this is called the echo technique. And the echo technique is the most powerful way for human beings to communicate with other human beings. Why? Because it literally forces a person's neurology to pay attention to you and to the exclusion of everything else. How many of you have ever been at a party? How many of you have ever been at a party and it's really loud and it's really noisy, right? You're across the room. You're across the room and somebody says your name, and across the noisy party with tons and tons and tons of people, you hear your name and you turn and you look. Anybody ever have that experience? Okay. How does that happen? It's because the human nervous system is governed by a selfish lizard. Now, what do I mean when I say that? You have 3 levels to your brain, basically. You have a reptile brain or a paleocortex surrounded by a mammalian brain, which is your limbic system, which is surrounded by a neocortex, the rational lying brain. That paleocortex, that oldest part of you, its primary concern is survival. And so it's constantly monitoring your environment for anything that has to do with you. And so, and because most of that awareness is outside of conscious perception, you don't know about it until your unconscious mind signals you, right? But the idea is you have a selfish nervous system. The most powerful words any human being can hear are the ones that just came out of their mouth. Why? It is a perfect key to lock fit to every filter they have. Every value that's important to them is embedded and connected to the exact words they're using at any given moment. When you use a person's very own words, it literally forces a person to pay attention to you to the exclusion of all else. It triggers validation. It signals sameness to the other person. Okay? It signals sameness to the other person. Every nervous system on the planet is moving through the world looking for itself. Okay? You can take that to the bank. You don't got to believe it. You just got to do it. Right? It will prime your target to keep talking and give you more and more and more information about them, while at the same time priming them for increased self-disclosure. The longer they talk, the more connected and attracted to you they become. Okay. Now, we're going to cover the exact methodology for doing this in part 3 of the webinar, but I have a timetable that I need to keep to. So I want you to understand that everything I'm going to teach you from part 3 forward, and including the next part I'm going to teach you, which is called the emotional bonding checklist, the emotional motivation checklist, goes back to this set of phenomena right here. This idea that the human nervous system is moving through the world searching for itself, and it's constantly pinging everything around them to find what matches its little checklist, right? You might want to write that down. The emotional bonding and emotional motivation checklist is one of the most important neurological phenomena that we have. Now, different systems call it different things, but at the end of the day, everything your nervous system likes and is attracted to is a reflection of itself. Also, a lot of things it doesn't like are reflections of itself, but that's a different class for a different day. We're showing you how to signal sameness, okay? So when you give a person's very own words back to them, it signals sameness, it signals validation, and it says, hey, I get you, I see you, I hear you, and I approve of you. And people are moving through the world desperate for that kind of connection. How many times have you heard a friend of yours, or maybe even you said it, I just don't feel heard. I don't feel understood. They just don't get me. Anybody ever have that experience, or even caught yourself saying that? I've just given you the master key to getting got. Okay? There are so many applications for this one technique. I could spend 8 hours on it. I seriously could. You don't need to know any of that yet. You just need to know, use a person's exact words as much as you can, verbatim, as humanly possible. And what will happen is we'll match every internal filter that they have. It'll go right to their values. It'll go right to their needs. It'll go right to the body feelings they most need and want to have. And there is absolutely 0% chance of being misunderstood. How many of you have heard of something called active listening? Anybody? Type it in the chat. Okay. So active listening should not be confused with echo technique. Active listening is where we listen to what somebody says, and then we paraphrase. We use different words to say what we think is the same thing. So for example, if somebody's talking, calls a suicide hotline, right? Or some kind of a abuse line. And they might say, oh, suicide prevention, this is David, how can I help you? Hi, yeah, I'm afraid I might kill myself. Okay, now, from an active listening perspective, someone who's trained in active listening might say, oh, so you're afraid you might take your own life, right? Now, at an abstract meta level, that seems like the same thing, but it isn't. In the person's mind, they're going, no, I'm thinking about killing myself, you dumb shit, right? And so because many times what happens is when you paraphrase, the definitions and connections to the words you use may be different in the other person's mind. And so their mind goes off on a different tangent. Anybody here ever like repeat back to somebody what they thought they said, and the person got all pissy because they had different meanings for the words that you used? Okay, Terrence, yeah. This eliminates that completely. It's impossible for that shit to happen, right? In fact, this person will talk for most of the time and think you're the most fascinating person they've ever met. Okay, I know Mike very, very well. We and I go back and forth a lot. Okay, so this is a really, 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 this is such an important skill. I can't emphasize it enough, and it is the core foundation of everything else I'm going to teach you in the rest of this webinar. If you want to become irresistibly persuasive, influential, charismatic, connective, you must echo their words. Does that make sense? Are you guys with me on that? Okay, so this is when back in the days when I had my martial arts school, this was exactly how I used, I got 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 people to come into my class, take the free lesson and sign up using their exact words. But it was also a combination of what I'm about to teach you next. What I'm about to teach you next is called the emotional bonding checklist. Or when we're applying it to ourselves, we call it the emotional motivation checklist. So how many of you guys remember that really good feeling you had just a moment ago when we played with pleasure? Okay. So here's what I want you to do now. I want you to get out a piece of paper. Let me share my screen with this. This is called the emotional bonding checklist or emotional motivation checklist. It's the same process. The difference is emotional motivation checklist is about doing it on yourself. Emotional bonding checklist is when you're doing it with other people, prospective clients, prospective romantic partners, team members that you might want to hire. Thank you guys over at YouTube level. Thank you so much for your support and enjoying this. All right. So can you guys, let me go back to this really quick. I don't know if you guys can see this. I want to walk you through it. Okay, can you all see that okay? Cool. All right. So what you're seeing here is a template that I created. It's called the Emotional Motivation Checklist. So here's the first thing I want you to do. This, again, is part of the interactive part of tonight's webinar. What I want you to do is I want you to get out a piece of paper. Now, if you can do this on actual pen and paper, it's going to be a lot more powerful for you. But if you have to type it, that's fine too. Okay. Now, I want you to close your eyes for a moment. And I want you to think about something for me. I want you to remember something for me. When you were thinking about tonight's webinar and the subject of tonight's webinar, you saw this process as a way to get something for yourself that you truly wanted, that you really, really wanted. True or not true? I shouldn't have asked you to close your eyes before I asked you this question, but it's all right. Okay, so go back and close your eyes. I want you to take a moment and think about what that thing is that you really, really want as a byproduct of tonight's webinar. I want you to think, I want you to see what you'd be seeing once you have it, hear what you'd be hearing, smell and taste what you'd be smelling and tasting as a byproduct of tonight's webinar. Right? And I want you to write physically, just in 1 or 2 sentences, write down what that thing is. Just write it at the top of your page. When you've done that, type done in the chat. Perfect. Barry's done. Come on, guys. This is the do it part. Pim says cheerful. Yep. Done. Kirk says done. Excellent. Okay. Now I'll make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see it. Underneath what you just wrote down, I want you to write this question. What's important about that? What's important to you about getting it? Physically, don't type it in the chat. On the piece of paper that you're working on, I want you to ask yourself this question. Repeat the answer that comes up in your mind out loud and write it. Okay? What's important about it? Okay? Once you've done that, and remember, use the exact words that come up. Just like we said with the echo technique, the exact words any human being can hear, the most important words any human being can hear are the ones that just came out of their mouth. Type or write on your piece of paper the exact answer that comes up. And right below that, you're asked the same question. What's important about that? So let's say, for example, that what do I want to get out of this webinar? I want to be able to attract more people into my life. Okay. Imagine that you have it. What's important about that? Okay. Think about having that. What's important about that? If you had the ability to attract the right people you wanted into your life, what's important about that? What's that going to do for you? Well, maybe I'll finally have the connection and the love that I've been looking for. Okay, let's suppose you had that love and connection that you've been looking for. Imagine that you have that. You have the skills to find the right romantic partner. You can now get the love and connection you're looking for. What's important about that? Well, I'll be happy, or I won't be alone, or whatever it is. But I want you to start to drill down from the thing you want to get from tonight's webinar to what's important about it, to what's important about that, to what's important about that. I want you to go do your best to go 3 layers deep if you can. If you can't, that's fine. When you're done, type done in the chat. Perfect. Now here's where it gets fun. First and foremost, did anybody notice what happened in your body as you were writing these things down? What did you notice when you started to write these things down? Flow, Rashida says. What else? Done. Okay. Anybody notice you starting to get a little bit more emotional? Yes or no? Terrence says yes. Inspired? Okay. All right. So here's what I want you to do now. Let me grab a piece of paper so I can model this for you. I want you to take the answers that you've written, and I want you to hold them up at about a 45-degree angle. Okay, hold them up at about a 45-degree angle. And I want you to read the answers to your questions 5 times out loud. So every place where you answered the what's important about question, I want you to repeat it out loud 5 times. And then type in the chat what you noticed. Moment. Kathy says, moment for more connected. Done. Okay. When you've done it 5 times, scan your body, notice how different you feel. Type in the chat what you experienced. Terrence says relaxed. Future feels more real, like it's possible, empowered and confident. Excellent. Anybody notice a couple of things? How many of you noticed a desire for it? Did it go stronger or weaker? Stronger? Feel like somewhat excellent. Good. Now, here's my question. What if you could move through the world making anyone you interact with, client, romantic partner, team member, prospective employee, prospective employer, feel this way or stronger about you? What could you do with that? Okay. I just showed you exactly how to do it, right? What you just experienced is what we call the emotional bonding checklist. Okay. So let's talk about the things we've covered and why this is important. We've talked about state control. In other words, when we go into a fun, playful state, we become more attractive. When we start to talk to people in their very own words, they can't help but pay attention, feel focused and validated. When we ask somebody what's important to them about the thing they say they want, a whole cascade of other emotions come up. True or not true? Okay. You've just learned how to do that, right? This is the beginning of becoming irresistible. Being irresistible does not mean being able to overcome people's willpower. What it means is tapping into the things people truly want and explaining it to them in a way they recognize they're getting what they want. Okay. Would you like to know how to take this even further? Yes or yes? Okay, the beginning of the webinar, I told you I would teach you in 3 parts. I would lay the foundations for you. I would give you everything you need to be unstoppable. I would give you experiences that validate and prove the power of what we're doing. Have we done that so far? Okay, I then told you that I would show you how to level up, how to get access to the complete system, the program we've put together, so you can continue your training and get the biggest bang for your buck. With your permission, I'd like to share that with you now for the next 20, 30 minutes. At the end of that 20 or 30 minutes, what we're going to do is we're going to circle back to the foundations that we laid in part one. We're going to show you how to put it all together to become a force of influence and persuasion, regardless of where you're going to apply it, because it's a universal process. It doesn't matter if it's the interview room, the courtroom, the boardroom, the bedroom, the class, doesn't matter. Okay. Yes, this is live. So with your permission, I'd like to share with you something I put together. Let me go back to this. Dun, da, 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 dun, da, da. Sorry, I'm having a Superman moment. Da, 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 da. I'd like to share with you the Secrets of Human Influence Ultra Persuasion Mastery Home Study course. Now, this is a very, very comprehensive program, and it allows you to pretty much write your own ticket in this world. But I don't want you to believe me. I just want you to apply this stuff and notice what happens in your life. Okay, so this is all about taking your life to the next level. All right, hold on a second. I seem to have jumped out. There we go. It's about making more money, closing more deals, getting more dates, helping more people, feeling more confident, more powerful, winning the game of life, and becoming more charming, charismatic, and irresistible. The skills that I'm going to share with you today so far have changed the course of my life. They have allowed me to rise to the top in every field and profession that I've endeavored to go into, and they can and will do the same for you if you apply them. And the best part about all of this is you don't need to believe any of it. You just got to do it. Okay. So this is what I put together for you. Now, this is good. This offer is good for today until 11:59 p.m. It's March 15th, 2023. So you have until then to decide that you want this. Right. And here's what you're going to get. We're going to start with probably one of the most powerful influence and persuasion courses I ever created. It's the Killer Influence System, the system that has been named the #1 NLP training program, been the flagship persuasion influence course for actually longer than 3 or 4 years. It's been the cutting edge in persuasion influence for over 10 years. We continually revise and update it. It includes 17 videos that include the 7-stage universal persuasion protocol, in-depth step-by-step training, hands-on training in every different module and every different level, so that you will learn how to think like a master influencer. It's a $297 value. You'll understand how to create a goal, how to set an outcome, how to strategize what you're doing. You're going to learn how to control your psycho-emotional states at will, so no one else can. We go deeper into how to control your own mind and body than probably any influence system on the planet. Because if there was a true Jedi skill, if there was a true psychic, almost empathic way to influence people vibrationally, it's through state control. And so there is such a deep well that when you tap into this, 80% of your influence and persuasion is done before you open your mouth. It's impossible to get caught, and you move through the world radiating confidence, power, playfulness, charisma, and certainty that makes people just want to follow you. It's amazing. It's a $297 value. It's part of this program. We're going to teach you power rapport skills for connecting with anyone, anytime, anywhere. Now, in our world, we divide the concept of the idea of rapport into 3 basic levels. You have what we consider classical rapport. Now, this is the kind of rapport you would learn in sales training, in an NLP class, an Ericksonian hypnotherapy class. But then we go even deeper. We go into what we call the magic and the principles of the cardiac nervous system. We call it kinesthetic rapport. And this is a level of rapport where heartbeats synchronize. The heart emits an electromagnetic field that emits emotional energy that is picked up by your brain. It is picked up by your heart, and you can actually learn how to tap into that system to create even deeper levels of rapport, chemistry, and connection with anyone you want. Then we go to level 3. Level 3 is a specific kind of rapport that is used for attraction applications. If you're someone who is interested in generating a more successful social and romantic life, there are certain things you have to build into your rapport that you're getting with another human being that trigger sexual and romantic attraction. If those things are not there, you will get friendship, you will get comfort, but you won't get necessarily get sexual or romantic attraction. If you add these extra things into the rapport that you're generating, then you will trigger romantic attraction. There's two other elements that have to be connected to the rapport that you're doing to generate true attraction. We'll show you exactly what they are, and we will train you rigorously on how to do them so that you have a choice at any given moment of what level of connection you want to create and how much attraction you want to generate. It's actually way more than $297 value, but it's part of the program. We're going to teach you the most powerful, irresistible hypnotic language patterns on the planet. You learned one tonight. It was called the echo technique. But what if you had the magical ability to make anything you want seem to cause anything you want in the minds of your subject? What could you do with a superpower like that, where you could literally take any two things you want and make one thing seem to cause the other, even if they have nothing to do with each other, right? That's what one language pattern will do. What if you had the ability to make anybody you want pay attention to anything you want to the exclusion of everything else? What if you had the ability to make the unconscious mind automatically do things, even if that person didn't want the unconscious mind to do them? One language pattern does all that. What if you had the ability to make anything you want mean anything you want in the minds of your subject, whether they're reading the things you write or they're listening to you? What if you had those abilities? What could you do with that power? Imagine it for a moment. What if you had the seemingly magical ability to literally force a person's mental movies, the movies they run in their mind, to be exactly what you describe, with zero chance of being wrong, with zero chance of resistance? What if you could do that? What would that do for you? All right, think of what you learned at the beginning of the webinar and the superpowers you're wielding. Now add this on top of it. Think of what you're capable of. It's all systematic. It's all trainable. It's not something only the anointed few can do. This is something that you can do. This is something you can learn and start to apply and have quantum leaps in your life. Okay? Everything human beings do is in response to a feeling. Everything human beings do has a structure and a pattern. And once you understand the structures and the patterns, you can use those patterns and structures to write your ticket in this life. And the best part is, you don't even have to believe it. You just got to do it. Okay. What if you could manage the emotional states of others so you could take them from wherever they are to wherever you need them to be in just a few minutes, right? What if you could hijack someone's internal behavior codes? What if you could literally speed read them in such a way that you knew exactly the order and sequence of their thoughts, and you could communicate it to them in such a way that they would just automatically take on the behavior you described? By the way, I already taught you how to do that at part one of this webinar, but we go even more in depth in the actual training program. What if you had the ability to emotionally bond to anyone's deepest desires and get them to want to do what you wanted them to do? That's what comes next. Some of this might sound familiar, right? We're going to train you rigorously in simple, fast, easy to learn steps to do all of these things. We're also going to include the Killer Influence Mind Control Manifesto. It's a $418 value. It's over 200 pages of hardcore, both conversational as well as nonverbal influence tactics and techniques. Things like proxemic hypnotic operators, which is all about how you manage the spatial locations in and around a person's body that cause them to see you as more authoritative or less authoritative. Where you stand on their to their right or their left can influence how suggestible they become to you. You can also learn where to sit and where not to sit at a meeting or at a conference table, right? We'll talk about embodied cognition. Things like just giving somebody a warm drink to hold will cause them to judge you or process your presence or your information more powerfully if they have a warm drink than if they have a cold drink. Right? You'll learn about all these environmental factors. You'll learn about social hypnotic operators, which are the 5 to 7 social triggers that cultures and governments program into every human being, how they affect you, how to recognize them, and how to turn the tables on people who are using these things to gain an unfair advantage over you. We'll talk about how to profile, how to detect lies, and so much more. It's all in the Killer Influence Mind Control Manifesto. It's a $418 value. We're going to include this as part of your training. Okay. Total value on this is $2,497. But we're not going to stop with just this. Think about what you can do with just this. But if you grab your package right now today, as a byproduct of this training, we're going to include some special bonuses just for you. These bonuses include weapons of mass instruction. This is the science of seductive storytelling and metaphor technique. This is, I've spent a lot of time in the hypnosis and NLP worlds, and every time I would go into these classes, they would say that the most powerful persuasion technique ever devised was storytelling and metaphor. But every time I would go to a class on storytelling and metaphor, it was the same stuff over and over and over again, and they never got to the point. And I realized after going through yet another class that if there was going to be a class that would teach us how to actually use storytelling and metaphor in a strategic, simple, easy to understand way, I was going to have to create it. So I went to the science. I went to the neuroscience behind storytelling and metaphor. I went to the acknowledged experts on persuasion and influence. And what I discovered surprised me. See, we divided this course up into 5 distinct modules. The first module is all about the neuroscience of storytelling and metaphor. How do you actually utilize, why are stories so powerful? How do they work? Why are stories never perceived as a direct attempt at influence, right? How do brains start to actually entrain with one another at just the very hint of a story? And how do you leverage that? How do you use stories to connect? There's a whole set of templates and processes, little things you can do at a line at Starbucks that will create tremendous, tremendous connection between you and another human being. Then we're going to talk about alpha stories. Alpha stories are the stories most of us are familiar with. These are the stories that we use to motivate people or to lead people, or in selling, we tend to try to tell people sales stories, right? These are called alpha strategies, right? And there's a lot of different templates and a lot of different archetypes that you can use. And we'll show you step by step how to create and put those into practice. But there's another kind of story, a story that's, I think, is completely ninja. It's at least, if not more powerful, at least as powerful as alpha stories. And these are stories that you will not hear about outside of certain circles. These stories are called omega stories. Omega stories are stories that eliminate resistance to persuasion. So let's think alpha story for a minute. If you think about having a big old file cabinet, right? That's weighted down with a lot of heavy files, and I need to move that filing cabinet across the room, right? Well, I can get behind it and I can push. And if it still doesn't move, I can get more people to help me push. That would be an alpha strategy. An alpha strategy is something that makes something more persuasive. But there's another way to handle that issue. And this is one that comes up a lot in people's lives. That is the removal of resistance. What if I didn't have 12 people behind me to push this filing cabinet, but I had maybe a can of motor oil or Vaseline or some kind of lubricant like rollers or something. And I take that file cabinet and I put it on, I put some lubricant on the ground in front of the filing cabinet. And now I can just push that filing cabinet across the floor because I've eliminated what? I've eliminated the resistance to the persuasion that I'm giving. There's a specific set of formulas that you follow. And when you create these kinds of formulas, it doesn't make you more persuasive. It just melts the resistance to the thing you're talking about. And when you combine them, you get a whole that's greater than the sum of the parts. That's module 3. Module 4 and 5 are all about what we call ninja stories. Stories also work as a very powerful delivery mechanism for other types of persuasion and influence tactics. We've got at least probably 12 or 14 different things that you can do within the body of a regular old story that will make it even more powerful, more persuasive, and give the autonomic nervous system very, very specific instructions about how to think, what to think, and who to think it with. Okay. We even take the time to actually deconstruct the stories and narratives of high-level presenters, people who are multi-billion-dollar pitchmen, and we deconstruct the talks to show you the hidden NLP and covert hypnosis tactics that these people are using. These people are highly trained, but are not training you how to do these things. They're just highly trained in using them on you for mass influence. We take you step by step through this entire process in this course, and you will learn how to do every single thing that I've just talked about and a whole lot more as a byproduct of this bonus. Okay, it's a $1,997 value. We're going to give it to you absolutely free as part of the Ultra Persuasion Mastery Program. Total combined value between the Killer Influence Program, Secrets of Human Influence that we talked about, and this is $4,487. But obviously, we're not stopping there. We're also going to include, when you get your package today, the Renegade Reframing, how to overcome any objection or change any belief in seconds. Stop for a moment and think about this. What if, has anybody here ever had anybody say no to them? Anybody here ever have anybody say no to them? Yes or yes? Anybody here ever try to explain something to somebody and they came out with this belief system that completely limited them, that held them back? Maybe that was you. You ever have somebody tell you something and all of a sudden this limiting belief about why you don't deserve it or why you can't have it or why it's not possible for you just came up? Think for a moment. What if you had up to 14 different ways to change that in seconds? What would you do? What could you do with that? That's exactly what Renegade Reframing is all about. Renegade Reframing is a set of techniques that were modeled from the founder of NLP, Dr. Richard Bandler. When he would challenge his students to try and change his belief systems or try to reframe him, he would systematically wipe the floor with these highly trained people who were trained in how to argue, how to find faults in logic, and he would mop the floor with these people using these 14 specific patterns. These 14 patterns allow you to literally deconstruct and change anybody's belief system literally in minutes. They can be used individually, they can be used in combination, and if you ever deal with sales objections or limiting beliefs, this is easily one of the most powerful tools you can have as a therapist, a client, a teacher, a leader. And when you apply them to yourself, you can't hold on to your limiting beliefs anymore. It is super, super powerful. But it presupposes you have an understanding of the Universal Persuasion Protocol and the CPI model. We're going to give this to you absolutely free. It's a $1,997 value. Total combined value is $6,484. And once you have this, there is not a single limiting belief that you can become aware of that you can't change. Okay. In fact, we've had our yearly coaching clients apply this to all of their limiting beliefs, and within seconds, they can't go back to thinking the same way about stuff anymore. It's that powerful. So when you apply this to everything else you've learned, you've actually magnified and amplified your ability to get your outcome anytime, anywhere, under any circumstance. Just for the self-training, the self-improvement and belief changing process on yourself alone, it's worth 10 times the price of admission. But we're going to give it to you free because we want you to have all the tools that you need to make a powerful, positive change. Total combined value, if you bought all these things individually on the website, would be $6,484. Okay. Finally, we're going to talk about charisma and conversion. Now, you've heard me talk earlier. I talked about how in CPI2, or the strategic story and metaphor training, that we actually deconstruct the talks of high-level pitchmen who are using the hidden NLP and hypnosis and stagecraft and things of that nature to get people to rush to the back of the room, sign up for their product or service, what have you. In this course, we're actually going to train you how to be that person in an ethical and non-manipulative way, or at least a less sleazy way. We're going to teach you the architecture of persuasion and influence, how to design a talk or a presentation that allows you to prime people to want to take the next level with you. Whether that next level is learning the techniques they've already paid to learn, whether it's stepping up or leveling up in your silo or your funnel to become a client, whether it's simply to take action on the things they've already learned. This is the power of charisma and conversion. It's going to teach you every single thing you need to know to create talks that inspire, educate, motivate, and prime people to take action. Okay. We'll teach you all the story and metaphor techniques from CPI2, which is a story and how to use that. We'll teach you about basic stagecraft, how to hold a microphone. But most importantly, you're going to learn two different forms of presentation: short form presentation and long form presentation. This is persuasion architecture. This is how you lay out a talk on paper that subliminally primes people both on a structure level, but also on a content level to believe what you say, do what you want, connect everything that they want to everything you offer, and raise their hand to take the next level. That's what this is about. I've taught all my students from the time I first started coming on YouTube to the time I started taking clients. that the most powerful, fastest, and effective way to build your business is through public speaking, to get in front of a group of people who have a problem that you know how to solve and lead them through the experience of solving that problem and then telling them how to take the next level. That's what I'm doing with you. I'm giving you guys experiences. I'm giving you the ability to, I'm asking you to take what you want to learn about, how you want to fix that problem. I'm going to give you techniques that lead you step by step through a set of experiences so that you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that this is the real thing for you, right? Because you've had the experience. And then I point you in the direction of where to go. It's up to you to decide if you deserve it or not. But if you really want to build your business, if you really want to take all of these skills and use it to write your own ticket in this life, charisma and conversion is worth its weight in gold. But it presupposes you have training in the universal persuasion protocol. You understand story metaphor, you understand reframing, so that now you can apply these things to the largest theater of combat or interaction that there is, and that's public speaking, mass influence, right? It's a $1,997 value. It's yours free. And if you just take all the things we've talked about here, it's an $8,481 value. All you got to do to get yours is go to www.killerinfluence.com/go. Right. So let's just review what we've got here. You know, a lot of you are already asking for this, so I'm just going to go ahead and post the links. There we go. All right. Let me post this in the link again. Okay, it's already in there. Good. All right, so let's just review it. So we're going to start with the Secrets of Human Influence program. It's a 17 video set, covers the 7-stage universal persuasion protocol. It includes the Killer Influence Mind Control Mastery Manifesto. It's a $2,497 value. We're going to include weapons of mass instruction, neuroscientific storytelling, and metaphor secrets recorded live with the manual. $1,997 value. We're going to give that to you free. We're going to conclude the Renegade Reframing, how to instantly overcome any objection or change any belief in seconds. It's a $1,997 value. We're going to include the Charisma and Conversion Hypnotic Presentation Skills Core Training. It's a $1,997 value. Total value, if you were to buy these things individually on the website, would cost you at least $8,481. Now, obviously, we don't want to charge you $8,481. In fact, because it's a recession, because these skills are so absolutely important, because you know why you want this and why you need it. I want to give you the best deal humanly possible. I want to make the ability to get everything you want as simple as I can and still be fair. So you're not going to have to pay $8,481. You're not even going to pay $6,481. I'm not even going to charge you $53.47, although I've gotten actually 3 or 4 times that amount for the same kinds of material. We're not going to charge you $33.47, and we're certainly not going to charge you $23.47. I thought about doing $14.97, and then I was like, you know what? These are my people. This is my crowd. Give me those crazy, crazy nights. If you grab your course right now, today, you can get it all for one low investment at just $9.97. You get every single thing I've talked about and a whole lot more. All you got to do to get yours. And if you need extra help, you can break that up into 3 easy installments at just $3.97 each. All you got to do to get yours is go to www.killerinfluence.com/GO. www.killerinfluence.com/GO. Now, if you already have the Killer Influence program, you can substitute that for Defense Against the Dark Arts or anything of an equal or lesser value. So if you've seen anything, if you're a veteran of Planet David and you've got some of the courses we've listed here already, just let Stephanie know and she'll let you customize your program within certain limits. It's $14.97 on the website. Okay. Which website, Lori? Okay. Well, happy birthday. For those of you who grabbed the course, we're going to give it to you for $9.97. Okay. So Brandon, go in and change that for them and make it $9.97. We're going to do a recession buster and we'll go from there. Okay. Obviously, we have a mistake in the PowerPoint, but that's okay. I'm going to honor it. Craig says I'm in. This might be the last time we do this at this price point, but like I said, the PowerPoint says $9.97. And we're gonna honor that. Okay. All you got to do is go to www.killerinfluence.com/GO. Now, for those of you who are a little on the fence, Craig's in, he says, excellent. All you got to do is try this for 60 days. If after 60 days, you're not on the fast track to making more money, either in your own business, closing more sales in your job, if you're not winning more interviews, right? If you're not on your fast track to financial freedom, if you're not getting more dates, dating higher quality people, hiring higher quality people, if you're not moving through the world feeling more confident and secure and powerful, if you're not winning in the social encounters that are important to you, all you got to do is pick up the phone or send Stephanie an email and we'll refund your money. You see, if you're not getting the results that we want you to have, if you're not getting the results that you want you to have, we don't want your investment. We want you to take that revenue and invest it in something that's going to pay dividends for you. But you have 60 days to come in, do the drills, get the skills. Okay. And if at the end of 60 days, it's not working for you, we'll give you your money back. Right. We raised our prices last month to $14.97. Apparently this PowerPoint didn't get modified. So you win today. You get the $9.97 price point. You get an extra $500 off, but only if you grab it before the end of the webinar. Okay. Okay. And it comes with a 60-day money back guarantee. If it doesn't work, you get your money back. Gia is asking, is there a payment arrangement for $9.97? Yes, you can break that up into 3 installments of $3.97 each, or $3.99. Forget what it is. All right. All you got to do to get yours is go to www.killerinfluence.com/GO. It's www.killerinfluence.com/go. This is why you want to pay attention to the webinars, because every now and then something slips through my cracks. And because I'm an honorable guy, I want you to have the best deal possible. Okay. So for those of you who know how things work in Planet David, I like to reward people who take action. To me, the victory goes to the people who take action. Fortune favors the bold. So for those of you who know this is right for you, for those of you who really want the biggest bang for your buck, if you grab your course before tonight, March 15th, 2023 at 11:59 p.m., I'm going to include these special facts, asks, and bonuses for you. The first one is a 3-month trial membership to the NLP Power Practice Mastermind Mentoring Practice Group. This is a 90-day trial where you come in on the 3rd Saturday of every month, and either virtually or in person. And I literally go around the room and I say, hey, what do you want to learn today? What do you want to learn today? What do you want to learn today? And I write it all up on the board. And then I step back and I look at the connecting threads. I create a lesson plan for you right on the spot. And for the next 4 hours, 5 hours, I drill you on those skills until you can do them in your sleep. Okay. You won't get a certificate from the mentoring program. What you will get is the most important success multiplier imaginable: hands-on experience and real-world feedback. You'll get to work with people either virtually or in person over and over again, doing the drills that you need to learn to move your life forward. At the end of that 5 to 6 hours, however long it is, you go out into the world to apply those skills. When you come back the next month, I'm going to ask you, what do you want to work on today? Seth, what do you want to learn? Jeffrey, what do you want to learn? Joseph, what do you want to learn? Stacy, what do you want to learn? Dana, what do you want to learn? Donna, what do you want to learn? Monica, what do you want to learn? I'm going to write them all on the board, and I'm going to look where they all connect, where they all meet up. I'm going to create that lesson plan right on the spot, and we're going to drill again. And we're going to do that every single month on the 3rd Saturday of every month for as long as you're in the program. Okay. Now, that's the cool part. You're going to meet hundreds of people just like you who want the same things you want, who want the same skills you want and need. And it's going to take you to a whole other level in your life. But that's not even the best part. We have videotaped every single session of the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program since we started it in October of 2010. As a member of the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program, you're going to get complete 24-hour-a-day access to the entire 11-year archive. You'll be able to binge watch stuff that has never seen the light of day on YouTube, in any product, and it covers the full spectrum of human influence and mind-body technologies, from energetics to trauma resolution to sales and marketing to dating, attraction, and sexuality, energy healing, remote influence, NLP, hypnosis and hypnotherapy, accelerated learning. If it involves mind, body, and spirit, it's somewhere in the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Archive. You can binge watch it at your discretion for as long as you want for the duration of your membership in the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program. Okay. Now, at the end of 90 days, if you decide that you like Planet David, you want to be a bigger part of that, pick up the phone, let Stephanie know, send her an email. We'll show you how to extend your membership. If at the end of 90 days, you decide, yeah, it was fun, but I think I got other things I got to focus on. No fuss, no muss. You're done. Okay. So that's how it works. It's a $1,597 value. We're going to give it to you absolutely free. If you do the math, you're looking at $10,078 in total bonuses. Okay. But we're not done yet. Like I said, I believe, I truly do, that the behavior that gets rewarded gets repeated. The behavior that gets repeated gets reinforced. What's the behavior that most people don't do? They don't take action on the things that they want. They don't take actions on the things that they say are important to them. I want you to take action because that's how you become successful. Fortune favors the bold. And so I want to reward you for being an action taker, for stepping up and saying to yourself, I deserve this and I'm going to get it. Okay. So I'm also going to include the following special bonuses for you, for those of you who grab this course before I log off the end of tonight's webinar. We're going to include, as part of your fast action program, the Stealth Instant Conversational Hypnosis Crash Course. This is a $997 value. It includes a complete deep dive into the most powerful language patterns that exist. It includes, hold on a second, I'm having a pop-up here. It includes training in lie detection, instant and rapid inductions. I believe there's actually also one on anchoring and criteria and values listation. So there's a ton of videos in there. And if it's the same course I remember, there's also a crash course in there called Hidden Laws of Attraction. It's a smaller version of the fuller version of Hidden Laws of Attraction course that we started teaching live 2 or 3 years ago. So there's a tremendous amount in there. It comes with manuals, transcripts, audios that you can listen to, workbooks. It's a very, very comprehensive program, and it's designed for one thing and one thing only: to download tonight so you can hypnotize people tomorrow. It's going to get you started instantly in the most powerful language patterns that exist, the 3 magic questions protocols, some of the most powerful attraction generating systems we've ever developed, and it's yours for free. Total combined value is $11,075. And finally, for those of you who really want to go deep, for the next 21 people to register today, you're going to get a free VIP ticket to my next Killer Influence 2023 live certification bootcamp. This is a 5-day deep dive into the art and science of the #1 influence training program in the world. 4 straight years running. Okay. It's going to be here in San Diego, June 20th through the 24th. And from day one, we will indoctrinate you. We will teach you everything you need to know about how to control your state, how to link that state to the neurologies of other people so you can transfer those states back and forth. We'll teach you the most powerful language patterns that exist. We'll teach you state control on demand so no one can push your buttons ever again. We'll teach you how to manage the state of the people you interact with so that they want to do the things that you want them to do, how to speed read people so you can tell by their body language, their facial orientation, their ventral orientation, what's going on with them. We're going to teach you the mysteries of proxemic hypnotic influence, how to manage the spatial relationships between you and other people so that you psychologically position yourself in their mind in a way that empowers you and gets you the fastest track to your outcome. We're going to teach you the social hypnotic operators that people are using and how to use those at will. We're going to teach you how to catch liars. We're going to teach you how to reframe things. We're going to teach you about meta programs. There's so much that we're going to teach you in those 5 days, and you'll come out embodying that training, able to perform these things anytime, anywhere, under any circumstance. It's one of the most powerful transformational programs we've offered. And I am excited every time I teach it, because when the lights come on and the empowerment rolls in, your life begins to change, and it changes really, really quickly. And it's fun. It's a lot of fun. So it's a $2,250 value. We're going to give this to you absolutely free. I don't know why my free didn't show up there, but total value is $13,325. Now, let me tell you something a little bit about our VIP tickets. And this is part of our VIP ticket program. The VIP ticket program is, the way it works is you have a ticket, and let's say something happens at the last minute, right? And all of a sudden you can't come to the 5-day training in June. Well, that's fine. You just pick up the phone, you let Stephanie know, we'll move you to the next Killer Influence training. Let's say the training sells out, which it often does, and your schedule frees up at the last minute and you want to come. No problem. Pick up the phone, give Stephanie a call. We'll make a seat for you. If we raise the price, you guys know we raised the price in January for a lot of our stuff. You have a price guarantee. You will never pay more for your entrance to the Killer Influence program. Okay. If you want to gift that ticket to somebody who you think can make the best use of it, you can do that. Right. And the best part of all, I think, is it doesn't expire. So let's say you get this ticket today and you can't get to a training for 3 years. Right. Well, you call up 3 years from now and you say, hey, Stephanie, I got this ticket on a webinar that David was doing on human influence back in the day. Can I still use it? We'll say, come on in, right? You have it until you use it. It's my gift to you, right? Why? Because if you really want to embody these skills, you've got to get it live, right? You can do a lot through virtual training, but if you take the live training first, or as your core, and then supplement it with the videos, you get a whole that's greater than the sum of the parts. Now, if you're using this primarily, if you're using the video training as your core, you need to go through those videos at least 2 or 3 times each, then get to the live training, and all of a sudden everything will just light up like a Christmas tree. There's ways to accelerate and maximize your learning, but the one thing we have found out over and over and over again is that the biggest gains come from the live training. And now it's never been easier because it's free. You just got to use your VIP ticket. Grab your ticket today and come to the training, and you will be a master in the shortest amount of time humanly possible. Don't take my word for it. Take the words from the people in the chats with you who've used this material, who've been to the live events, and ask them what's going on. Total value is $13,325. Let's just review really quick. Okay, hold on. Okay, Secrets of Human Influence Home Study Program is $2,497 value. Weapons of Mass Instruction, Neuroscience and Storytelling Secrets, $1,997 value. We're going to give that to you free. Renegade Reframing, Charisma and Conversion, both $1,997 values each. We're going to give those to you free. We're going to give you the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program, $1,597 value. We're going to give that to you absolutely free. You're going to get the Stealth Instant Conversational Hypnosis Crash Course. Everything you need to watch the videos tonight, hypnotize people tomorrow, or if you like to stay up late and you can find somebody willing, you can do it tonight. $997 value. We're going to give it to you absolutely free. And we're going to include the free Killer Influence VIP Super Ticket for the 5-day Convert Hypnosis Certification Bootcamp live here in San Diego, California, June 20th to the 24th. Apparently, I need to really go back over my PowerPoints. June 20th to the 24th here in San Diego, California. Total package value is $13,325. You can get all of the things I talked about for today only. Extra $500 discount, $997 investment, or if you need extra help, you can break that into 3 easy installments of just $397. All you need to do is go to www.killerinfluence.com/GO. It's www.killerinfluence.com/GO. Why did my screen go off? Hold on a second. Oh, that's why. All right. Yeah, so it's 3 easy installments, or if you need a little help, you can go at 3 easy installments of just $397. Just go to www.killerinfluence.go. www.killerinfluence.go. Let me just make sure I've got all my slides here. Okay, good. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you guys a 7-minute break. When we come back, we are going to pick up with part 3 of tonight's webinar, and we're going to build on the foundations that we've talked about: controlling your state, using the echo technique, the emotional bonding checklist, and then we're going to customize the content of tonight's webinar to the specific application that you guys as a group most want to know about. Is that going to be how to create attraction, chemistry, and connection? Is that going to be how to remove resistance to your influence? Is it going to be how to deeply emotionally bond people to you, your product, service, or your business? I want you guys, as you're thinking about, or as you're processing and grabbing your package, I want you to think about what direction you want to take your training tonight. Okay. So it's 5:45 p.m. Pacific time, my time. We'll be back at 5:52 in just a few short minutes. We'll see you in a little bit. If you have any questions, post them in the chat and we will answer that just as soon as we possibly can. All right. All right, so, oops. Okay. For some reason, my video is not showing up. Don't mind me, folks. I'm trying very hard to get my camera to work. For some reason, my camera doesn't seem to be working here. Huh. That's weird. Can everybody hear me okay? If you guys can hear me, type I can hear you in the chat. Hello? Hello? Okay. My YouTubers can hear me, but I can't, I'm not getting anything from my, let me type in the chat. Hold on a second. We might be having some technical difficulties. Okay, so you guys can see me in the chat, but I'm not sure what's going on with my, Give me just a minute to figure this out, folks. I got to figure out what's going on with my, my camera's not working. I may have to do this in a weird way. All right, let's see if this works. Hold on a second. No, that's not working. Huh. Well, all right. Well, we're going to have to probably continue the rest of this. For some reason, I cannot get my camera working. So we're going to actually just go back to we'll have to use my OneNote now. And you just have to bear with me, guys. I apologize. I'm not sure what changed. Yeah. For those of you coming at me on YouTube, yeah, you're not going to have a problem because I'm streaming parallel to my Jet webinar, but my Jet webinar video seems to have crashed, and I can't really leave the program without messing everything up. So I'm gonna, for those of you who are joining us through Jet, then we're just going to go ahead and there we go. We're just going to make that bigger. All right. So what you've got here is the emotional motivation checklist. Does everybody remember? Paige says she can't hear anybody else. Can you guys hear me? If you can hear me, type I hear you in the chat. Now this is for my Jet webinar, folks. All right. How's this going to work? I apologize for this, folks. I'm not sure what's going on. All right, well, let's go to the chats, but that doesn't help me either. So there's no audio either. Huh. I'm going to do something very weird, folks. You're not going to believe this, but let's see if I can pull this off. I have no idea if I can do this, but we'll see. We may have to do an encore performance if I can't get the webinar to finish. Meetings. No, that's not what I want to do. Let's go back. Copy link address. Let's see if this actually works. Hold on a second. No, that's not going to work. Oh, wait. Yes, it will. Haha. All right. So since I can't get to you through Jet, let's see if this actually works. I'm going to post this link in my chat on my Jet interface. And for those of you who want to hold on a second, guys, I'll be right with you. Hello?
Hello?
Hey, what's going on?
Reshare your screen and video on Jet.
Reshare it on Jet? Okay. I never stop sharing, but I'll reshare it.
Share it again.
Okay. And 1 second. We'll do that. Okay. Is that working? I'm on tech support right now, guys. Bear with me.
And then share your video again.
Well, the stop video and start video doesn't even work now. It's not even clickable.
Just reload the broadcast window and then just join and share it again. It'll be fine.
All right.
There you go.
Okay, I'm back. All right. Can everybody see and hear me now? That was crazy. Are we back? Okay, I can't see my chat, but all right. Okay, so guys, I apologize for this because now I can't see my chat. I can't see anybody typing things in the chat. Let me see what happens when I'm going to try reloading the page again and see what happens. Okay. Okay, I can see my participants, but I can't get it. I can't see anything in my chat. All right. Well, then you know what we're going to do? Then I'm going to teach you something that I hope you guys can appreciate. I want to talk about the emotional bonding checklist a little bit. I also want to talk a little bit more about resistance removal. So let me see if I can share this with you. All right. So one of the things that we want to talk about is we talked a little bit about the echo technique and why this is so important, right? It eliminates the need for small talk. The emotional motivation checklist goes right to a person's values and criteria. Now, when we start dealing with resistance, one of the things that I tell my students is that the most powerful way to get people to want to do the things they said they just don't want to do is by having them generate their own reasons for doing it. So what we're going to look at is what we call the resistance removal protocol. And this is based on the work of Dr. Michael Pantalon. It involves using the echo technique, but it has some very important parameters to it. Okay. The first thing you must do when you want to get people to voluntarily, willingly, dare I say eagerly, do the thing they just said they didn't want to do, is you must restore their sense of personal autonomy. Now, what does that actually mean? It means you got to make it okay for them to not want to do it. Okay. Here we go. Okay. So the first thing that has to happen is you have to make the person believe that they don't have to do it and that you're okay with them not doing it. If you can't do that effectively, then they're going to paint everything you say and do with an agenda. All right. Does that make sense? Now, for those of you who have a question, for some reason, our chat interface, when we got our video back, our chat stopped working. If you go to our YouTube channel and type your question in the chat, that chat's still alive and functioning. And I can answer your questions that way. Okay. And there's lots of people on our YouTube channel who would love to interact with you. They'd love to get to know you guys as well. So you have to reaffirm their right to say no. So what does that actually look like? One of the things that I used to spend a lot of time doing when I was in the hypnotherapy world is every now and then, you know, I mentioned that I didn't get a lot of smoke cessation clients. That was not my client of choice, right? And so, but every now and then I would get somebody that would come in and they would say, and this is something for those of you who see clients, this is something I want you to really pay attention to. When someone says to you, I need you to make me do X, right? Anytime somebody says, I need you to make me do X, what you're hearing is a modal operator of necessity. And what that means on a you know, all neurolinguistics aside, what that means is they're reacting from a place where somebody is making them do something they do not want to do. Never, ever, 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 if you can help it, accept a client who does not want to do what you want them to do. Now, they say in hypnosis, you can't make anybody do something against their will. Not true. Let me just get that cat out of the bag. It is actually not true. However, it is much more difficult to get people to do things they do not want to do. How can I say that? Have you ever bought something you didn't fucking want? If that's true for you, type that's me in the chat. Have you ever bought something you didn't want? Congratulations, you were hypnotized against your will. Okay. So be very, very wary of that. Okay. But it is much easier to get people to want to do the things they said they don't want to do, right? And the way you do that is by having them create their own reason. Here's something I want you to write down. The human nervous system never resists itself. Okay? What the human nervous system creates, the human nervous system accepts. So taking that set of principles and going back to the beginning of the webinar, remember when we talked about the echo technique? And the most powerful words any human being can hear are what? We said the ones that came out of their mouth, right? And then we took that one step further and we had you think about all the things you want to get and be able to do as a byproduct of this training. And we had you write them out. And then what did we do? We asked you, what's important about that to you? And you wrote that down. And then we took what you wrote down and we asked the same question, what's important about that? And then we asked that question again, what's important? So we drilled down from the thing you said you wanted to what was important about that. And we drilled down 3 levels. And then all you did was read that information out loud to yourself, right? And you had a profound state change. Why? Because all of that information came from inside of you. Because it came from inside of you, your neurology approves of all of it. Your neurology accepts all of it. It's the difference between a cloned organ and a transplanted organ. If I take all the things that you guys wrote down and I put them in my words and I say them to you, it can have a significant impact. However, it won't have near the same level of neurological power and impact as if I read your very own words to you. Why? Because your nervous system is always accepting of what it creates. This is one of these big meta principles that I want you to apply to everything. Okay? If you're dealing with somebody who has just said that they don't want to do something, the only reason they'll accept for wanting to do it is the one they make up, right? But you have to make sure that the filters that are at play, see, when people try to get you to do something for their reasons, they browbeat you, they bust your stones, they belittle you, they give you this laundry list of all the logical reasons why you should do something. Don't you freaking hate that? You get reactant. We call it the fuck you factor, right? So one of the things that happens when people feel like their sense of personal choice is being threatened, victimized, or taken away, they get reactant. And they view anyone outside of themselves as being part of that, of the enemy, the one trying to make them to do things they don't want to do. So your most important piece when you're dealing with getting people to want to do the things that they just said they don't want to do is convincing them that you're on their side, that you want to support them, whether they do that thing or not. So what I would do many times is I would tell my clients, and again, it was very rare that I would get a smoke cessation client, but they're probably another really problem niche tends to be the fibromyalgia niche, right? For various reasons, but we'll use smoke cessation as an example for this. Someone comes in and says, "Hey, doc, I need you to make me stop smoking or make me quit smoking." And right away, Andrew Morris is saying, "Are there a way to do this without the 1 through 10 scale so you can do it in more real world apps?" Andrew, I do the 1 through 10 in real world apps. I don't ever negate that. Okay. And I'll explain, and we can explain why in the mastermind, but don't think for a moment that the way I teach it is not the real world app. It's exactly how I do it. That being said, so they'll say to me, I need you to make me quit smoking. I say, look, I don't know if you're here because your mom sent you, or your wife sent you, or your children sent you. I don't even care who's paying the bill. Regardless of who's paying the bill, when you step through that door into my office, I am your advocate. I am your ally. I am your clinician. My job, regardless of who's paying the bill, is to get you what you want, right? To make your life what you want it to be. So if you don't want to quit smoking, I'm not going to try and make you quit smoking. In fact, if you want to enjoy smoking more, I'll help you do that. If you want to just sit in here and just do a stress release session, or just go home and tell your wife it didn't work, I'll do that, because I'm on your side. If you don't want to change, I'm not here to make you change. DRM is asking, does this work in romantic relationships? Yes. As long as you can deliver it congruently and sincerely, it works like gangbusters. Okay, and I'm going to give you the full formula. I recommend you pick up Dr. Pantalon's book, Instant Influence. That's where the technique I'm teaching you is derived from the material in that book. But I will tell you, based on my understanding of the human nervous system, that this exact process also works on physical pain, works on emotional pain. It works on reactance. It works on any form of resistance that you deal with. I have videos you can watch on YouTube. Like if you go to my YouTube channel and you watch instant conversational pain, or conversational pain relief, you'll see me literally use a version of this protocol to argue somebody out of back pain. Because at the level of information that we're processing, it's all just data. Now that's a little sidebar, but I want you to understand that the scope of what this technique does is far greater than the book leads you to believe. Okay. So anyway, so the first thing you have to do, if you want to get somebody to want to do the thing they just said they don't want to, you got to convince them that it's okay for them not to do it. It's a paradox, really. So it goes something like this. So look, if you don't want to quit smoking, I'm not going to try and make you quit smoking. If you want to enjoy smoking more, I'm going to help you do that. Right? But I am curious. If you were to want to quit smoking, not for your wife's reasons, or your kids' reasons, or your mom's reasons, or your dad's reasons, or your brother's reasons, or your boss's reasons, if you were to want to quit smoking for your God-given reasons, I'm curious, why might you want to do that? And you'll see them. They'll go, well, I am getting kind of short of breath when I play with my kids, and it'd be kind of nice to have a little bit more energy. And it does get expensive after a while. Oh, I see. So you're saying that it's getting a little bit harder to breathe, and you'd like to have more energy, and it costs a lot of money. Yeah, I think it would be good for me to save that money and actually, so I can play with my kids and be healthy. Oh, okay. So you can play with your kids and be healthy and save money. So I'm curious, just so I understand you better, on a scale of 0 to 10, how much might you want to do that? Well, I don't know, 3. Oh, wow, a 3. Why so much? I'm curious, why didn't you rate that less? And you're going to see them do this. They're going to go, what? Why do you want that so much? Why a 3 on a scale of 0 to 10? Why is it so high? Well, because it's important. My health, if I don't have my health, I can't play with my kids. I don't have any energy. I can't do nothing. I'm going to be in an early grave, aside from the money thing. Oh. So if I understand you better, then it's about having the energy and the health and avoiding an early grave. Yeah. Okay. So how soon do you want to get started? I'm curious, how soon do you want to get started avoiding that early grave? Well, dude, let's just do the session, right? And it's literally, that's, and it can be that rough or that smooth, because the idea is you have to convince them you're on their side. That it doesn't, you know, when you see me write down, like when I do this, hold on a second. So when you look at this protocol and you see the whole restore personal autonomy, a lot of people gloss over this. This is actually one of the most important pieces in the system. Is you've got to make them believe that you're on their side. Okay. Joseph Christensen is asking, who is the book by? Joseph, the book is by a gentleman named Dr. Michael Pantalone, Pantalone. The book is called Instant Influence. Okay. I apologize for my my eager beavers in the chat. I cannot see your chats, but if you type things in the YouTube channel, I can see that. I'm not sure why the chat's not coming through. But so let's go through the process. All right, let me show you this. I got to be honest, I don't like when I can't interact with you guys. It really bothers me because I thrive on interaction. All right, so the first thing you want to do is restore their sense of personal autonomy. Then you want to reaffirm their right to say no, not now. No. Reactance is a defense mechanism. We call it the fuck you factor, right? So the question is, if you were to want to do X, why might you want to do that? Okay. Now, this particular sequence here, for those of you who aren't familiar with what we call the master echo sequence. The master echo sequence starts with, hold on a second, let me make this a little bigger. Starts with ask a question, pay attention to the response, echo, validate the response, echo their words, ask again. All right. So if we were to take this using like in a numbered list, you would ask a question, you would pay attention to the response, you validate the response, you echo their words, you ask it. And when we say again, it means it can be the same question or a different question. Okay. So if I say to the person, sir, if you were to want to quit smoking, you were to want to quit smoking for your own reasons, why might you want to do that? And so they might say, well, so I can play with my kids. Okay, so that's what they say. So I would, what would I do? I would apply the master echo formula to that. And I would say something, oh, I see. So you can play with your kids. I think that's a truly worthy goal for wanting to stop smoking. So I'm curious. Just so I understand you better, on a scale of 0 to 10, how much might you want to do that? All right, so let's look at this now. First of all, from the master echo technique perspective, right? So because I've already asked the question, I'm going to echo their words so you can play with your kids, right? Then I'm going to validate what they said. In other words, I'm going to demonstrate to them that I am on their side, that I am in agreement with what they said. Now I'm going to soften my words here. We'll talk about softeners during a different webinar when we'll talk about it at Killer Influence when you come to Killer Influence, or if you come to the Australia training, we'll talk about that there. Okay. And then just so I understand you better, on a scale of 0 to 10, how much might you want to do that? So if we look at the master echo sequence, right? We've applied that here, right? Why might you want to do that? So I can play with my kids. Oh, I see. So you can play with your kids. I think that's truly worthy goal for wanting to stop smoking. So I'm curious, just so I understand you better, on a scale of 0 to 10, how much might you want to do that? So this is what the master echo sequence actually looks like when you deploy it. This is the format that you follow. If you were to want to do X, why might you want to do that? Validate, echo, ask again. On a scale of 0 to 10, you see we did that here. How much might you want to do that? Okay. Now, they're going to give you a number. Now, you guys remember when I was acting out the role play earlier, I gave you this kind of a look. I said, oh, so I'm curious. On a scale of 0 to 10, how much might you want to do that? Oh, a 3. Oh, wow, a 3. Why so much? Why didn't you rate that less? And the guy's like, what? You're going to get that look a lot, because every single person, the minute you start asking, why didn't you rate that? Their brain starts running ahead thinking you're about to attack them and ask them why they didn't want it more. Right? And so you'll see that double take a lot of times. I go, what? Right? Are you guys, who is not seeing? I'm getting, my video is running. Why are you guys not seeing this? Are you guys on YouTube not seeing something? All right, so we're having a slew of technical difficulties. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. How many of you guys would like to have this webinar again? Oh, okay. So you see me, not the screen. Okay, so you guys want to see the screen? I can do that. There wasn't much to see on the screen, but we can do that. As soon as I find it, hold on a second. We only got your handsome mug. All right, hold on a second. Let me see what I got here. I think I might have somehow inadvertently closed a window. Okay. All right. All right. So for those of you who did not see the things I was just talking about, so we started with the master echo sequence. which is ask a question, pay attention to the response, validate the response, echo their words, ask again. This is something, this is what I want you to take away from the webinar today, is this master echo sequence. You ask a question, you pay attention to the response, you validate their response, you echo their words, you ask again. So our YouTube person is saying, 1 second. Yeah, get in the mastermind. Yeah. I think there's some kind of conflicts going on that wasn't there before. I don't know if they've done a software update or what. But anyway, so master echo sequence. Ask your question, pay attention to the response, validate the response, echo their words, ask again. When you're moving through this process, there's some key things I want you to pay attention to. And that is this sequence right here. Okay. If you were to want to do X, why might you want to do X? Now, here's the secret to this. When you start to do this formula, you have to use the word might. Okay. Might creates possibility for things where no possibility exists. That's really functionally all you need to know. It's technically what we call a modal operator of possibility. Anytime you inject might into a phrase, when it's something, okay, Lori's asking, can you give a phrase? If you were to want to quit smoking, Lori, why might you want to do that? For your reasons, not mine, right? As opposed to, if you were to want to buy a product, Lori, why do you want to do that? Right? You might say, well, I don't want to do that. But if I were to say to you, Lori, if you were to want to buy the webinar package that we have for your reasons, why might you want to do that? Now your brain will start to generate a reason for why you might want to do that. Okay. So this little word is so tremendously powerful that it's practically in every process that I teach. Okay. You have to be very careful. You'll learn this in Killer Influence. There are about 6 to 8 words we call the unbelievable 8. And the unbelievable 8 are words that will actually undermine your persuasion abilities. So some of those words are obviously try, can't, hope, think, but, might can also work against you as well, and no. Okay. These words, for various reasons, if you use them ineffectively, or if you use them without an understanding of the full potential of them, can actually weaken your persuasion message. We say might can weaken your persuasion message because it creates possibilities where there wasn't one before. So if you're installing a process that you want an absolute sense of certainty about, and you use the word might, it creates doubt. Okay. But if you are asking somebody to contemplate something that they would never, ever, they have a certainty in the opposite direction that they would never want to do, and you use the word might, they will start to generate a reason or a rationale for why they might do it. And because they generated that rationale, it's now acceptable to them. Now, what you do from there is actually kind of cool, because the moment they generate the rationale, you pay attention to the response, you echo those words, you validate it, you ask another question. What is that next question? That next question, if we go back to our screen sharing, that next question is on a scale of 0 to 10, how much might you want to do that? Now, what's interesting about this is the person thinks that they know exactly where you're going. They think you're trying to browbeat them. They start to think that way anyway. How much might you want to do that? Now, it doesn't really matter what number they give you. They could give you a 9, they could give you a 6, they could give you a 1.5, they could give you a 1, right? It doesn't matter, because the minute they give you a number, which you're going to do what? You're going to echo the words, validate, echo, and ask again. What's going to happen is you're going to challenge that assumption. You're going to say, oh, why so much? Why didn't you rate it less? Now, what happens when you challenge a person's rationale, their desire to hold on to that rationale gets stronger. Okay? So let's all play a little bit. Let's do this. I want you to think of something. Now, again, I can't see my chat in the JET webinar, but I know the folks, those of you who are, I work with people who've lost loved ones. Can you see how I'd apply this? Yes. In your case, Lori, you'd want to work on their willingness to let go, right? You'd have to do a little bit more fact finding onto the thing that they're holding on to, that they're refusing to let go of. Okay. But I've actually used this on grieving boyfriends who can't get over their girlfriends, right? As long as they're generating the reason or the rationale, this will work. Okay. So let's do this. Now my freaking screen just spontaneously changed again. So, all right. So here's what we're going to do. I want to review really quick the offer we have on the table in case anybody's wants to grab the last minute package. And then we're going to come back. We're going to do this resistance removal protocol together as a group exercise so we can experience it for ourselves. All right. So for those of you who may have been joining us late or were confused, we have a special offer going right now. It's called the Secrets of Human Influence Home Study Course. It comes with a whole bunch of amazingly cool free bonuses and extra trainings. It's a $2,497 value for the Secrets of Human Influence Home Study Course by itself. But we're also going to throw in Weapons of Mass Instruction. It's a $1,997, right? Alma's in. Thank you, Alma, for joining us. We're going to give that to you free. We're going to include the Renegade Reframing Conversational Belief Change Home Study Course, $1,997 value. We're going to give that to you absolutely free. We're going to give you the Charisma and Conversion Home Study Course, Hypnotic Presentation Skills for Public Speaking. It's a $1,997 value. We're going to give that to you absolutely free. We're going to throw in the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program. And the 11-year video archive for $1,597 value. We're going to give that to you free. You're going to get the Stealth Instant Conversation Hypnosis Crash Course, $997 value, absolutely free. And finally, for those of you who want to get in on the ground floor, who want to get the live experience, which I highly recommend, we're going to give you a free VIP super ticket to the 5-day Killer Influence Certification Boot Camp, June 20th through the 24th here in San Diego, California. It's a $2,250 value. We're going to give it to you absolutely free. The total package value for this is $13,325. You can get it all for one low investment of just $997 or 3 easy installments of just $397 each. All you got to do to get yours is go to www.killerinfluence.com/GO. It's www.killerinfluence.com/GO. One more time with feeling, www.killerinfluence.com/GO. Okay. So I just wanted to kind of give you that little last minute reminder. And now we're going to go back to our regularly scheduled program. Let me see here. Let's go to sharing my screen. You know what? I don't even need to share my screen. We can just do this. Hold on a second. I don't know what's going on here. All right. All right, so can everybody see me okay? Yes or yes? All right, so here's what we're gonna do. I want you to take out a piece of paper and I want you to write down something on a scale of 0 to 10 that you don't want to do. I would keep it low for now, just to make it simple. But what I want you to do is I want you to just go ahead and think of something you don't want to do, something you've been putting off, whatever. And I want you to understand something. I want you to understand that if you don't want to do it, I'm not going to try and make you do it. That is completely antithetical to the type of influence and persuasion that I do. Right. So if you don't want to do it, I respect your right to not do it. You don't have to do it. I'm not going to make you do it. If there's any way I can help you not do it better, I'll do that. Right. But I am curious, though, as you look at that thing you said you don't want to do. If you were to want to do it, why might you want to do it? And again, you can write it down or you can just speak it out loud. Why might you want to do it? And I think it's amazing, okay, that you might want to do it for that reason. So I'm curious, on a scale of 0 to 10, if you were to want to do that thing for your reasons, not my reasons, not the government's reasons, not religion's reasons, not your wife's reasons, not your parents' reasons. If you were to want to do this thing for nobody else's reasons but your best reasons, I'm curious about something. Why might you want to do that? Take a moment, write that down, or speak it out loud. And thinking about it like that. Scale of 0 to 10, how much might you want to do that? And then I want to ask you a question. I'm curious, why didn't you rate that less? Why would you want this so much? And speak out loud why you would want that so much. Now, I can only get feedback from my people on YouTube, but I'm curious, what's the next step we need to take to move that forward for you? To get you that thing we just talked about. Right? Now, one of the things that happens is when you start to attack a person's rationale, the rationale that gets attacked grows stronger. So some of you may have noticed that when I asked you to rate it on a scale of 0 to 10, and then I asked you, why didn't you rate it less? Okay. Did you know, how many of you, I'm curious, how many of you noticed your desire to do it actually went up? I know my YouTubers have a little bit of a delay, so. All right. So I wish I could get feedback from my webinar people. I'm waiting for my YouTubers to kind of catch up with me. So this has become such an important part of my clinical evaluation process. I realize that it's really high, but out of my control. Okay, well, that's a different question. Okay, as long as you noticed that your desire to do it actually went up, that's the point of this protocol. So let me screen share it for you, so you guys can take a screenshot of it. Because I want you to have it. For those of you on YouTube, we're going to do this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to erase all the drawing here. And see if I can make this small enough to fit in the screen. I'll tell you what I'll do also, if anybody's interested, for anybody who grabs one of their webinar packages, I'll create a little PDF of all these techniques for you. So you have them on tap that you can just reference all of our notes and everything we've talked about. I'm trying to just consolidate this for you guys. Anyway. Okay. Can you guys all screenshot that? I'm not sure. So this is the resistance removal protocol. This is one of the most powerful things I've ever come across. Every now and then, as I travel through the world, I come across these solid gold nuggets of radioactive persuasion gold. All right, so let me see where we're at in terms of. Andrew says, got it. Okay, if you can't get yourself to do it, that's different. Okay, not wanting to do something is different than not being able to get yourself to do it. So Lori, the way you would deal with that is you magic frame the reason for not doing it. Okay, that's a safety issue. That's a very different protocol, but it's also available for free on the YouTube channel, right? So again, remember when we're talking about resistance removal, we're talking about volition. We're talking about a choice. What the hell? Am I muted? Okay, that was just, yeah, we're having, Jet's getting all kinds of buggy today. Anyway, when we're talking about resistance, what we're not talking about an inability to move forward. We're talking about an unwillingness to move forward. Okay. Now they're very, very similar in how they appear, but one is a choice. The other is usually trauma related or limiting belief related. Okay. So they can interact and intertwine with each other, but they're very different. When people are actively choosing not to do something, that's where you whip out the resistance removal protocol. If they encounter internal resistance to doing it, in other words, they have a parts conflict. There's a part of them that wants to do it, and there's a part of them that's holding them back. Now you have to whip out some other techniques because that's not a resistance issue, or that's not a it's not a volition issue, if that makes any kind of sense. Okay. So, any questions on that? I'll wait for my YouTubers to catch up. I think what we're going to do, maybe later on in the week, or maybe even on a Saturday, for those of you who encountered the second half of this webinar, maybe we'll do an encore presentation of this webinar as just a YouTube live or something like that, and so everybody can do the training as well. I have a mastermind this Saturday, so it'll probably be later in the evening, and probably won't go as long as we are tonight, but it will pick up kind of where part 2 of our webinar left off. So we have a much more stable platform. Would that be something you guys would be interested in doing? Okay. The pricing will probably be back to regular though, so you might want to grab your package now, because I screwed that up. All right, so all you got to do to get yours is go to www.killerinfluence.com/GO. Hold on a second. Yes, there will be a replay of this, SG. But I think what I will also do, because I don't like putting out crappy content. I think what I'm going to do is on Saturday after my mastermind, I'll pop on for an hour or two, and we'll go back over this material so that people can get a little bit clearer training without me bebopping back and forth between all the different windows and stuff like that. Okay. If you have questions, Frank Richard says, you've helped me change my life, Dr. David. Yes, please. My pleasure. That's what I'm here for. Right. You know, I got to tell you that if I were to tell you all the things that this material, just the stuff I've taught you in the webinar today, even before part 2, if I told you all the things that this has done for me, it would sound like I'm bragging or just making shit up. But this thing literally changed my life at ridiculous amount over and over again. You know, one of the things one of the stories I rarely tell people is, you know, when I didn't start college till I was 33 years old, because I didn't think I was smart enough. But I was highly trained in this material. And within 2 semesters, I was on a full ride scholarship. I had a 4.0 GPA. I was the editor of the Cowboy Chronicle newspaper. I was a vice president of leadership for Phi Theta Kappa. Within another semester, I was the regional vice president of Phi Theta Kappa. I was elected to the Oklahoma All-State Academic Team, all because English professors are suckers for hypnotic language. Those are things I never talk about really on a webinar, because I honestly never think of them, and I don't know that most people would relate to it. But the point is that in a society governed by the rule of law, in a place where the ability to get people to willingly and voluntarily do what you want them to do for their own very reasons, this is the most recession-proof skill you can have. Okay, you got to combine it with a relentless spirit and playful curiosity, but that's part of the training. But these skills allow you to walk up to anyone you want, in any situation, in any circumstance, figure out exactly what they want, link it to what you want them to do, and have them salivating to do it for you, but not for you specifically, for themselves. It is the ultimate win-win training. And I want to leave you with this thought. Remember, I talked about the echo technique at the beginning of the training. I said that this is the way, you know, it forces a human being's nervous system to pay complete attention to you. Okay. It is a complete match for every filter they have. It triggers validation, comfort, connection, trust, and attention. It is the most neurologically desirable way for one human being to communicate with another human being. So I'll leave you with this thought. If you knew the most powerful, desirable, validating, personally gratifying method to communicate with any human being, if you knew beyond a shadow of a doubt how to make any person you interact with feel special, heard, understood, and have a desire to make you happy, and you didn't use it, who's the jerk now? Because that's what echo technique does for you. And all the derivatives of the echo technique, all the variations I've hinted at or talked about, start there. And as you layer these other things on, they become exponentially more powerful. So you can take the pieces that I've given you tonight. You don't got to believe it. Just go do it. Just give people back their very own words. But if you want the full training, if you want everything in the most user-friendly way I know how to give it to you, I encourage you to go to www.killerinfluence.com. Click these links and get to that live training. And let me show you how to see the matrix. Let me show you how to move through the world, making everyone you meet feel ridiculously good for no other reason than you can. And then they'll just start giving you stuff, right? But you don't got to believe it. You just got to do it. Everything we're offering you today comes with a 60-day, 100% satisfaction guarantee. If you're having any sticking points in those 60 days, pick up the phone, give us a call. We'll help. Come into the live masterminds, come into the virtual masterminds. Tell us what your sticking points are. Give us the opportunity to personally coach you on this material. And if after 60 days, it's not paying the dividends we're hinting at, we'll refund your money. You can even keep the course. Right? Now, don't be a douche and, wait 59 days and you get a refund because you can't, right? That's not what this is about. It's about value. It's about leveling up in your life. So once again, www.killerinfluence.com/GO. Remember, you're going to get the Secrets of Human Influence home study course, the $2,497 value. You're going to get neurological storytelling secrets, $1,997 value. We're going to give that to you absolutely free. You're going to get the Renegade Reframing home study course, 14 ways to change any belief in seconds, whether on yourself or on other people, overcome any objection, win any argument. It's a $1,997 value. It even comes with a card game that you can play, right? We're going to give it to you free. You're going to get hypnotic presentation skills, charisma conversion for presenters and public speakers, how to use all of the things that we're teaching you from the stage on large groups of people to train them better, to get them to take action, to level up their lives. It's a $1,997 value. We're going to give it to you free. For those of you who grab your course before I log off the webinar tonight, remember all of this expires at 11:59 p.m. March 15th, 2023. But the fast actions go away when I click the end button. Okay, you're getting a 3-month trial membership to the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Group, access to the 11 years of archived video footage valued at $1,597. You're going to get the Stealth Instant Conversational Hypnosis Crash Course with everything you need to start hypnotizing people tomorrow. If you download it tonight, watch it tonight, you can be hypnotizing people in a couple hours, but most times it's overnight. It's a $997 value. We're going to give it to you absolutely free. And finally, to make sure that you've got everything that you need to take your skills to the next level, we're going to give you that free VIP super ticket to the Killer Influence Instant Conversation, or a Conversation Secrets of Covert Hypnosis Bootcamp, June 20th through the 24th, live in San Diego, California. It's a $2,250 value. We're going to give it to you free. It does not expire. If you can't make the June training, we'll move you to the next training. You can gift it. You can hold on to it. It's yours to keep, but I recommend that you grab it and you use it. And you get your butt to that training and you get yourself for 5 complete days with me, rolling up your sleeves, doing the drills, getting the skills. Go to www.killerinfluence.com/GO. www.killerinfluence.com/go. And now would be a good time to go. www.killerinfluence.com/go. If you have questions, call Stephanie at 858-282-4663 or Stephanie at nlppower.com. That's 858-282-4663, 858-282-4663, or Stephanie at nlppower.com. If you call, please, 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 please leave your contact information. If you leave your contact information and we don't get back to you till tomorrow, you will qualify for the bonuses. If you call back tomorrow, you will not qualify for the bonuses. Okay? So do yourself a favor. If you have a question, again, don't trauma dump on Stephanie. She's handling a stampede of clients right now. If you have questions about the course, if you have bought from us in the past and you see a course in the package that you already have, but you'd like to take advantage of this offer, let us know what courses you already have, and we will find a course for you that's of an equal or lesser value, and you can just swap it out. Okay? We try to get you the biggest bang for your buck. You get it all for one low installment of just $997. That's an extra $500 less than we would normally be asking for this. Or if you need to, you can break that up into 3 easy installments of just $397. All you got to do to get yours is go to www.killerinfluence.com/go. This is Dr. David Snyder. I want to thank you all for bearing with me, for dealing with our myriad technical snafus. Look for us this Saturday. I'm not sure exactly what time we'll be doing that. And it'll be a short little online class. But the course will be back to $1497 for the webinar package. So if you want to get that, save that extra $500, when would now be a good time to go ahead and click that link right now? And if you were to want to do that for your own reasons, why might you want to do that? right? Anyway, this is Dr. David Snyder. Good night. God bless. Have a great night.